So hi, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dave Dobbs here. It's the 12th of November today, and it's the full moon. It's the full moon, and you know I've been running this timeline of Planet X for quite some time now, and I haven't done an update for. I recorded a video coming down the Cane Hill flight in Devizes. In actual fact, if you look at the actual map here, you'll see Devizes. I came down a flight down the river here. It's like all told, it's about 22 locks, 7 at the bottom as well. So it's about 16 locks all in succession. And the most incredible thing, people come from all over the world to come and see this flight. So I recorded a video there. But before I get going with that video and bring all the overlays that I want to bring into that as I take you down the flight, I just wanted to make an introduction to this because it's taken me literally 2 weeks to put this new timeline together. And what I'm basically doing is we are realizing that it's been Jupiter that's been affecting us. Jupiter is literally ascending right now, or effectively we are going very similar direction to to what Jupiter orbits. And I'm going to take you all through this in a shake to try and show you how this works, how the movements of Jupiter is really working by all the sightings that we've been getting and all the patterns that we've been getting. And I'm going to take you through that. But I want to just bring you to this map here because I'm about to make an announcement, and the announcement is that I'm intending to run in the election, in the general election, representing this area around here, basically. It's called the Wells constituency. I live here on the Somerset levels. Now, the reason I've stopped you on this map is you can see, if I just come out a little bit, a couple of clicks, you can see where we are on this map. We've got Wales up here, and obviously we've got this area of Somerset coming down to Cornwall down here. Now, in 1606, on the 20th of January, 1606, a tsunami struck here. And because of the timings of all the observations I've observed, I'm realizing that the tsunami that struck there was as a result of the moons of Jupiter, which is what Galileo was seeing. You know, Galileo became very public about this after this, you know, because you're seeing it, then you were seeing it go out. And you're seeing all the moons and Jupiter, just like we were seeing in 2018, with massive sightings of Jupiter and everyone was talking about, why is Jupiter so blue, and how come you can see the moons of Jupiter with, you know, people recording it with iPhone cameras, the most sensational shots. And I will try and bring a few of those shots in that I saw over that period. But I mean, it's been so massive, it was so talked about, you know, that I'm not going to dwell on that right now. I'm going to bring that into the timeline. But just staying with this area here and this area, Bristol, because this area is going to be most affected because of the sightings that we've had of the twin tail object over the last, you know, around the December period. That's where my main kind of like all the kind of predicted timelines, or the sightings that I've seen, the main ones have all been around that time. And we've watched it move one calendar month each time. And I'll take you through that in one shake. But holding on to that point, we can understand that we're talking about, we live in this time of where we are surrounded by nuclear power stations built on places that are very likely to have tsunamis, and places that are dangerous fault lines. And we've seen this with Chernobyl, the reactor went into meltdown on the day of a massive earthquake that no one talks about, that happened. The earthquake was on a fault line that it sits above, that runs right, the earthquake was actually in the Himalayas, but it was on that fault line that runs all the way down to where Chernobyl sits just above in the Ukraine. And then obviously Fukushima, and now we've just saturated the earth in nuclear power stations in the name of reducing the carbon dioxide spewing out of the volcanoes. You remember the last time we saw a real massive carbon spike was in 1939, and then the carbon starts going down, completely contrary to what we're being told. It started dropping, and then it started building up again as we got into the as we came into the sort of like 70s and 80s. And of course, this was the mid-range point, 86, which is when Chernobyl went. And of course, this is like, it's effectively 2 cycles of Jupiter after, you know, in 1939, on the 20th of January again, 1939, when Carlos Ferrada, who was very much like myself, saying that there was these massive planets, and he couldn't believe that they were Jupiter or Jupiter's moon, just like we haven't. We've been calling it Nibiru, and I'm going to take you all through that in one shake. I just want to look at that, understand that that also was on 20th of January. And the reason why all these dates have fallen on the 20th of January is because astronomically, that's where the point of passage is. There are 2 well, there's ultimately more than that, but there's fundamental points of passages which will always remain consistent in the movement of this thing because of the dynamics of the orbital mechanics involved. And it's that I want to take you through. And so let me now just, you see the area, you can see why I want to run in this area, because I'm of a mind that we need to address this massively, what's coming in now, because you saw the flyby last year, which I'm going to take you through right now. And you saw the, and you saw the flyby the year before. And we need to bring massive attention into this of what's really happening here. So let me take you through briefly the timeline now. So we've got here 1939. It's the it's the 20th of January 1939 here. And get that out of the way, I shake. And we're just going to click that, and we're going to run through this. And so we're going to start this timeline here. And this is what we're going to do first of all. The Earth is, you can see Earth is right at the kind of 6 o'clock position to the sun there. We've got the moon just nearly new, just coming up to new. This is on 1939, which is why the earthquake happened on this day. This was the day that Carlos Ferrada said the planet X would pass and it caused a massive earthquake, and he said it would occur on the 24th of January 1939. This was the year the Second World War began, and you've got to remember, always wars when this thing comes past. This is how they've controlled the vibration of this planet, by making us wage wars when the doors are opening and closing to higher or lower levels. And so they seal these doors off with aggression and war, and this is why this began on this day, and it's been really perpetual war right through this whole period, right up to this next transit, which is what we're going to come up to. This is going to take us right through to the 20th of January 2020. So what we need to do here is now we need to look at where Uranus is, where Saturn is, and where Jupiter is there in 1939. And then we're going to come into the inner hub again. And then we're going to go to the sun, and we're going to replace that, and we're going to call it Planet X. And we're going to get rid of Mercury. We're going to get rid of Venus. We're going to get rid of Earth, and we're going to get rid of Mars. We've still got Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus in the same positions. Jupiter is over there. Now, this is one cycle of our sun. That's one cycle of our sun going round, which takes about 170 years roundabout. Nothing like 3,600 years. You just can't get a 3,600 year orbit. It's just not possible. And this is 1939 up to 2020. 20th of January 2020. That is what our sun has been doing. But you have to understand that even though it appears our sun is going round in cycles, so we should see a change in all the stars and that sort of stuff, it's not like that, because it is actually charging forward nearly in the same direction as the sun. The sun is kind of going, I've got the sun going here, really it's going along like this, dragging the planets along. But we're so used to this model that I've built this model because I've bridged it, but I will morph this model as we've always understood it. And also at this point, I will tell you that my understanding that now of the conical system of our planets is not correct. I had to kind of keep that open all the way through this to account for two levels of two ecliptic levels operating an above and a below, and the only way I could do that was with a conical system. And of course, because of the movements of our moon, which basically moves like a spaceship going round and round the Earth, doesn't it? It's like it's you can always see one side of it, and it's always going round and round. It doesn't go rock or twist. It moves around, just like imagine the shuttle going round around our Earth. Our moon does that. It does something that no other planet does. It moves like a spaceship, and it seems to adjust itself. It never kind of goes out of sync. It's always keeping in sync, implying it's being kind of driven. And so I applied that to all the planets in our solar system. I had to, because I could see it up there. I could see it was a logical case. I knew all the space agencies have been lying to us and deceiving us about Planet X. But where do you draw truth from? So I had to work on that assumption, and it's the only one that worked until I could work out the differences between these two ecliptic planes. But understand more than anything else that this is fundamentally still moving. It is basically moving in this direction now. That is its northern aspect, and this is its kind of, well, not its northern aspect, but this is its forward motion aspect, and this is its true forward motion aspect. And it will always retain that. Even when it's down here, it's still kind of going forward. And when it comes back here, it's still going forward. And when it comes around here, it's still going forward. And when it comes back here, it's still going forward, except that this point is its true aspect of its forward motion. That is, if you like, it's true, not that it would call a North Pole, but that, if you like, is its true forward north, if you could call that. Not to say that would be where it's ecliptic plane, because Earth would be trailing behind like this, not like this. I'll show you that now. But as we're going over here, because we're diagonally cutting across, even though we're going that way, it means this is moving. It means this is moving forward. So effectively, the dwarf planet is actually going faster than Earth in a forward motion, because we're tracking off to the left here, if you like, which means that because Jupiter is trailing behind this or orbiting this, it is going to overtake us, which means it is ascending. Even though it looks like we're going over the top of us, it is actually coming up behind us and moving through. Let me try and show you now what that looks like. So let's go up to Jupiter there. We've got Jupiter spinning there with all its moons that we see when we zoom in and we see Jupiter. But let's go back and see these further two twins that Alex Lujan would call them the twins. I call them Bob and Connie, you know, because that through my whole Planet X and the whole thing with getting involved with Jim Bob back in the day and that sort of stuff, that, you know, that's where Planet X came from for me, the whole Bob Dobbs thing. So I call them Bob and Connie. You call them Shiva and Ganesh, Jesus and Mary Magdalene, but they are the twins that we've seen, the twins, the furthest orbiting twins. So let's just isolate and get a picture of the orbital mechanics of where Jupiter is actually going there. So we're going to tilt it back. You can see up here, this is where it's pointing forward. This is where it's going. And this is how the planets are chasing behind. They're all actually going forward. But at this point, this is going faster and they swing right back. So we've got the ecliptic plane of that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add to this, we're going to add our sun and its ecliptic plane and its trajectory within this. So this is going to get a bit confusing here, but you can see I've got this is our sun. I'm just going to bring it really big there, and then so you can see it, we're going to blind everything, and then we're going to start zooming out. There we go. There we've got sort of like Mercury, we've got Venus, we've got Earth, and we've got Mars. You see where Jupiter's going. And now we're going to set the trajectory of Earth, and it's going to be dropping down as Jupiter and that which it orbits, the dwarf planet, is moving effectively up because it is now traveling faster than us. So there they both are. So let's get that set as would best work and set them all in motion. Now these aren't synced correctly at this stage, But we're just looking at the movements of, now we're going to begin this and just look at the movements. We can see the inner planet and we can see the outer planet of Jupiter, the inner twin and the outer twin. And we've got Earth coming around here. Now, Earth is coming around over here. Now, this transit over here that's just occurred, can I go back a little bit? That one there, this would have been the Fukushima point. So this is what this would have come first, and this is how I've tried to adjust the mechanics to try and demonstrate. So let's just let that move through. That is the Fukushima point, 2010, 2011. Now you remember, you have to understand that even though we've got the Jupiter going out here and we've got the sun going out here, Jupiter is orbiting around around the dwarf planet itself, and it's still going back out here into our night sky as we've always known it. And for most cases, it comes back round here. It also goes back into our night sky, except that it's been drawing closer and closer to us as we have come up through the ecliptic plane of the Planet X system and come up and over and coming out again. But nonetheless, Jupiter is going round 12. It takes 12 years to go round Planet X. And so 12 years, it gives you the exact, you think about my timeline that I've offered you every 200 days, which turned out to be 198 days. And then it works out to be, because of the passage where we saw Mars go bang, and I'll explain why Mars went bang on this as we move around about the 24th of October, 2018, which is exactly where it wasn't the actual, Mars was in where we were in September, roundabout, you know, in 2018. It was behind us and approaching, coming up behind us, or I guess we'd overtaken it on the inside. But that point where it was right where Jupiter was. It was passing through, and of course this is getting affected. Mars is getting affected by Jupiter's moons as Jupiter goes through. So you've got these, it's a very complex thing, the orbital mechanics of this thing. If you laid it all out, at some point I might show you an image of what it kind of looks like when you look at all of these mechanics going on over the top of each other. It looks insane. So when I have to break this down, but that was the point in 27th of February 2010, the big 8.8 standalone seismic earthquake that was equivalent only to something like we'd seen in 2004. But I can see the basic patterns because we've seen the twins, and obviously when these two come together, this is the point where we see the twins, where they come together. This is the point that caused Fukushima. Think about that, the earthquake just before, 1 year and 13 days before, on the 27th of February 2010, and then 1 year and 13 days later on the 11th of March 2011. Think about that. That's a 13-day difference in astronomical positioning. So then let's come around again and see different aspects of how this has affected us as we've moved through it. So Earth is coming round again here. And you can see here we get this point here and this point here. This was the earthquake that occurred we come a bit closer. This was the earthquake that occurred here on July the 3rd this year in California. This was that point of crossing. This was Alex Lujan's shot around about the same time, 3rd, 4th, 5th of July, same time. The earthquakes, exactly the same point. And then, of course, we go to the midway point, and this was the big kind of gravitational anomaly that we saw that I think it was Jeff P talked about. We know that Mr. MBB 333 talked about. We know Steve Olson have talked about. It was the same as the gravitational anomaly that occurred on the 17th of August 2017. when I went to America and we saw the massive flybys that came by on the same day as we get the massive gravitational anomaly. And then we get to the, do you remember on the, I remember these dates, like I have to explore these so fantastically and mechanically in these things. That's why they get so ingrained into my mind to build these models. But then we get, of course, to the 23rd of September 2018. And do you remember I said, I made a video just like weeks before and I said, guys, oceanic anomalies imminent. And then we saw the tsunami where you literally see the man bareback riding his house in a liquefaction earthquake, being overtaken by his neighboring hills by an earthquake that's taking them even faster, and he's riding just the bare roof of his house into a coming tsunami because we passed Jupiter, the central aspect. We created an alignment, and with the full moon that occurred also on that day, or the new moon, I can't remember which the two, but just like in 1939 when Carlos Rada saw the moon, saw all the planets or the moons orbiting Jupiter, he couldn't believe it was Jupiter. And so then we come next to this here. Have I just passed it? Sorry about this. Now we need to come through another cycle there to properly experience that. Yeah, we need to go to come to here, and we kind of get the same thing. And because I haven't synced these correctly, but I've tried to do them sufficiently that we can explain all of the tracks. It comes in here and we come round here. And this is obviously the point that we would have seen Alex Lugin's shot on the round about the 3rd of July this year. And of course the earthquake in California. And this central point was the gravitational anomaly, the same point we've seen, and it's moved periodically exactly the month. Just like I said, all the sightings moving in exactly the same sequence to Jupiter. Exactly the same sequence. And so we know that I was thinking it was going to be the 26th of December because of the sightings that we saw last year, and because we saw down the tail of it. Do you remember sort of like Wrap the News put the epic shot showing the tail of it, and we saw the asteroids? And so that means that where we saw it at the end of December, it means it moves one calendar month. By logic, it has to. You know, I'm just trying to show you all the sightings and put all of this into the mathematics of logical order. You know, I've been wrong about so much of this stuff because I myself couldn't move beyond my beliefs that we weren't the center of this big system, and we're just simply not. We're just simply not. You know, we're going to form into something akin to Jupiter ourselves. Our sun is. It's going to come to something of that size. That's what it's destined to become. And then it will attract greater, more mass, and it will just steadily grow bigger and bigger. More things will come into it. It will draw more into it, and it will grow and expand and go on its mighty journey. But we can see that we are going to get a king tide, the true meaning of the king tide. The same thing that happened in 1607, the same thing that no doubt happened, earthquakes all across Europe. Do you remember when we worked out, and I finally worked out the cycles because of that tsunami in 1606 or 1607 in Gregorian, but and because of the sort of like Carlos Rada predictions, and because of what we were seeing. And I thought it was 2018, but when we used 2019, we were able to discover the eclipse that occurred for 3 days when this thing came in. You can imagine we're going around here and it's coming in here. It blocks off the sun as it comes across. As it comes across here, it blocks off the sun to us. It causes an eclipse. And I found that 3-day eclipse just by mathematics of using that day, I could finally see what the king tide, the King Canute tried to stop. I could finally see all the great cycles of why there's been all the great cycles and all the great wars that have occurred around the cycles of Jupiter. And so that's the reason why I want to bring this attention, because I cannot get any voice on this. But if I step into the political arena, at least for 6 weeks or only for 4 weeks, news agencies, technically, if they decide, they can talk about me because I am newsworthy. And that's why I'm going to try and run. So please be a subscriber. Please share this video, like this video, take this video and post it on your own channels. I give you permission to do that. And share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, get it out there, guys. We need to talk about this and address that. We have so little time to switch that reactor off. I've done my absolute level best. You cannot tell me I have not done my level best. Every moment of my waking life since I realized this, I have dedicated to try and make you understand that you can change this if you choose to, if we come together and get over this carbon story and correct what this carbon dioxide really means, we might all be able to stop what we can see is so clearly coming in. If this tsunami comes in and destroys not just Hinkley Point, but so many power stations that have been built in stupid places. How do the gods deal with this? How have they dealt with this in the past? What position are we leaving them in? If we do not act, are we going to expect Jesus to come in and do it for us? Will Jesus come and save us? Why didn't Jesus go and save the Japanese? Why didn't Jesus just go in and press the off button? Are we too cool to see this? Too cool to see this? Is our stories that we've got, are they all so important? So let me take you on a journey now with me. It's 2 weeks ago that I filmed on the Cane Hill flight. I've done that video and I'm going to put a few overlays over that just so we've got references to go into much greater detail in this and take you on a journey. It's going to be a long video, but there's a lot of information in here and it doesn't fit into small sound bites, I'm afraid. And it's going to take it has to be in these big downloads, because you can run off and not fully understand and go into little areas in your mind, and you so need to boil this down to the sweetest nectar, and so you so need to see. So thank you for being with me and welcome to this little journey down the Cane Hill flight. Bless you and thank you, and please help me in my campaign in every way you can. I need nominees. That's what they're called, nominees. So I'm going to go around as soon as I put the overlays over the next bit. I'm going to come around and get nominees, people who nominate me, so give me a voice so I can run and think. Maybe they won't vote for me. Maybe they'll vote strategically to stop this terrible agenda the Tories threaten to bring in. But whatever they'll vote, maybe they'll at least maybe they'll agree in their nomination that in their nomination of me, they can vote for whoever they like, but that I should at least be allowed to have a voice in this at this time, to speak my truth and let you decide what you need to do right now, because you can choose to do nothing and wait for Jesus. Or you can choose to do something a bit different and act. Or maybe Jesus will help you act. Maybe if you pray to Jesus and ask him to help you, help me shut down all these nuclear reactors before this massive flyby that absolutely is coming in without any shadow of a doubt. Maybe not this year. Maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe it can squeeze another year. You saw how big it was last year. But it's looking like it's this year. It's looking like it's, beginning 20th of January, 25th, basically Chinese New Year, virtually Chinese New Year's Day, ironically. I'm mad. Oh man. Thanks guys. Enjoy the journey down the Cane Hill Fly. Thanks. Hi ladies and gentlemen, Dave Dobbs here. So it's the fabled 28th of October 2019, and I'll tell you where I am. I'm going to try to turn the camera around very quickly. I don't know if you can see that, but that is the Cane Hill Flight. As far as I know, I believe there's 16 locks that I've got to go through to go down this massive hill, and it's taken me probably a big number of weeks to get up the other side, coming and going, because I've been dealing with a lot of other stuff. So, but here I am on the Cane Hill Flight at last, and it's going to take me all day to do these flights. So it's going to be a bit of walking around, even though I've got my warm gear on. I'm probably going to be shedding layers, and it's a beautiful day. It's been raining. I've been going through storms and all sorts to get through to this point. Here she is. Look at her, the lovely Sophia, goddess of wisdom. So, should we close the top lock? And I thought, as I go through these 16 locks, at this little point here, you need to go that way. Go on, out. But we've got a naughty little swan who's decided he wants to come with us. And of course, that's the angels on our side that are going to be with us through this journey as we go, as part of humanity descends here through this process. And so we're going to be looking at this, not just those that are going up, but why humanity has had to do what it's doing at this process to allow these souls to come in. So okay, so look, I've got lots and lots of people that are, we get lots of tourists coming to sort of like see boats coming in the flight, and I think they're waiting for me to close this lock. And of course this door is symbolic, so we're just going to let this little swan out. Look at that, he's come out now. And we're going to close the door, okay? Sophia. It's an old British waterways boat. Well, it came from France actually, it came from France originally. I've got to make sure that rope can pull out of there, else it can get stuck. Excuse me there. I don't know if you can see that. The boat's going to go down. Look, we've got an audience. That's the first lock. There's that little swan. He's sitting over there. And we're going down in preparation for this big journey. So we've got a big audience there. Yeah! Hi! Where are you from? Yay! They're from the Czech Republic. Do you hear that? Said with pride. Yay! Okay, lovely people, look. That is a reminder that if you're nice, you're going to get lots of help in this process, because don't forget, it's not really like humanity is actually going down, but it is a little bit like that, let's be honest. But humanity's been quite a down place already, but humanity is going down to scoop a lost soul group up. I know that sounds a bit awkward in this whole process, but that's what's actually going on here. And there's a lot of assistance if we want lots of assistance, but we have to be really, really nice. So anyway, so I got to wait here for 10 minutes until they prep the next lock. So I'm going to get loads of assistance today, and I'm just going to be captain of the ship, which is fantastic. So okay, so this is the first lock in near completion. You're going to get a wonderful view of the whole thing in a moment. I've just got to make sure all that water doesn't get too close to the back of my boat and sink it. Okay, so let me just turn the camera back around there. I don't know if you can get a view of me there, but we're going through number one. So he's opening that lock down there. He's got the kids and all these school kids from Czech Republic to open up the gate for me. So he's going through. Because a few of you are a bit curious about what the hell I'm standing on the back of. Well, this is the gorgeous Sophia, goddess of wisdom. She needs a lot of work, a bit like me.
Here we go. Lining her up. Can you see how we can line it up down there? Well, I'm a bit off there, aren't I? Hopefully I'm going to get lots of assistance. If I can keep them enthusiastic in the process. Just keep remembering their mother country. That always gets people excited when you remind them about their mother country. Unfortunately, some people get really excited when you do that and quite patriotic about the whole thing and can do the most silliest things. So we won't encourage them to do anything silly. We just want assistance with the locks. Because ultimately it's quite hard work, this process. There's that little cafe. The Experience. Thank you for so much, fine sir. So we've got lock keepers and all sorts. Huh? Okie dokie. So okay, so here we go. You're gonna get a better view of it in a little bit. Oh, we got lock keepers. So we're gonna just put that into a slow reverse. Whoop. Try and kick away from the back. Keep it going slow. Noticing I'm not tying off the this is called I believe a windler, a windler thing, a windler, and it's like trying to remember French names and stuff like that. It's but what you don't want to do is tie the boat off and get stuck to something. And of course this is the big story about the spiritual process that we're in, that we latch on to things that we think are normal in this absolute abnormality, which is humanity's state at the moment, which is a key part of humanity's state is building right now fault lines, building nuclear power stations on fault lines. That is mental weakness at the moment, this obsession with fission, and we hold on to it. And you can imagine when boats are tied off to the side because they don't realise you can't have anything holding on, because it would just, and the boat would go down. You can imagine the disaster. It kind of tips the boat over, can sink the boat, and also you've got to be so careful at the back end. You want to go completely in. If you, as the boat comes down there, there's what's called a sill. Can you see those markers each side there? But next to the paddles, there's a sill underneath, which the doors or the gates that the paddles kind of seal up against. And that sill is your sill marker, and that sinks boats. That's the most common way of sinking a boat, especially a long 60-70 foot boat that takes up the whole lock, and your back of the boat goes over the edge of the sill. You are in so much trouble because the water just gushes in the front. Anyway, so she's going down like a blaze of glory. So that's what we're doing. We kind of like just coming through number one. He's going off now to open up the next one for me. Can you believe that? I'm in luck today, aren't I? So there's a whole system, but it's quite exciting. There's the sill. Look, there, can you see it? Now, if my back of my boat was on the back of there, or I was tied off over there whilst going down, I would be in trouble. This is just, there's 16 of these, so it gives you an idea of the type of hill we're going down. You can see right down into the distance. You probably can't see that, but you're going to get a clear idea of just how far we're going down. Alrighty. Now the other thing that's worth noting here is that the sill just won't open. The gate won't open, or the paddle won't open until it's good and ready, because of that amount of water pressure that's up against it. And there she goes. And she just opens. So I don't know how much we've come down in one fell swoop. It's got to be a couple of meters, hasn't it? So 16 times 2. It's going to be about 30 or 40 meters, isn't it? We're going down. Look at that, we've got assistance. I don't know where our Czech Republic kids have gone though. They've all walked off. At least we've got a little bit of help, but now we're back on the can you see how high that is? Amazing, huh? So here we go, in through to lock number 2. There's our sill marker that we've got to get beyond. So the line of deception that we're in at the moment, the lie we're clearly in is that we kind of are the centre of this solar system, and what we're realising is that because of all the shots, and I just want to say, I saw that Dill Martin, his channel has been deleted. Whether he deleted it or YouTube deleted it, it's an absolute travesty, because he had some of the best footage leading up to 2017 beginning. Do you remember his famous shot, the dwarf planet? There we go, the gates are open. So look, we've got a clear open gate. All the gates are open all the way through, so I've just got to keep on going through. So this is number 3 we're coming up to now. Coming out number 2, going into number 3. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Get past that steel marker. We're in a good position. So okay, so the story of Dill Martin, yeah, his channel going down or being deleted, and I know he's not been posting anything, but thousands and thousands of people would see him, send him footage, and he posted that footage up, and I believe that they would be gutted to know that all their footage has been deleted, because it was research. It was so many different people's research put into that, and evidence of the fact that we're not in the center of all of this. All of these big planets and that sort of stuff aren't orbiting our sun. It's just not possible. It's hydrogen going into helium, guys. As I said in my last video, what we're clearly seeing from this dwarf planet is a massive spewing of iron particles. This thing is spewing out iron. It's a very, very dense dwarf planet that our sun is orbiting. It can't be the other way around. It's just not logistic. It runs against the gradient of all of our science to try and pretend that something much bigger and denser is going to be lighter than something much lighter. It's utterly ridiculous, and yet we've all been throwing our belief systems at this, all been held by this this story, which has been enforced. Look at Galileo. He had to recant what he saw. He had to recant the fact that he saw the moons of Jupiter, just like we've been seeing. Jupiter, absolutely massive. You know, and everyone just trying to sweep it under the carpet, like they try and sweep Fukushima and Chernobyl, that both ruptured on the days of massive earthquakes. Now, where I'm heading, to Somerset, or as close to Somerset as I can get, Wiltshire, kind of Somerset, and that sort of stuff. Somerset, where I look out due west of Glastonbury, there's an opening between the Mendips, you know, and it leads right out to the Severn Estuary. And the Severn Estuary comes in from the kind of in between Somerset and Wales, and it comes around the corner and then goes up the kind of like the Bristol Channel. Or well, the Bristol Channel comes off the Severn Estuary as it comes up between into Wales and what have you. So they've built a nuclear power station at the point when the tsunami happened in 1606, on the 20th of January 1606, or the 30th of January 1607, after the change of the, you know, when the calendar went from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar in 1582. Why did they change it at that point? This same point when Galileo was seeing the moons of Jupiter, just like Carlos Ferrada saw in 1939. Now, if we can clearly see that they're covering this up, and that they've built a nuclear power station right on the point, that tidal wave, it wouldn't make it round the bend on the Bristol Channel and head north. It wouldn't come from the west heading east, from west, from the Atlantic, hit the Bristol Channel and think, oh, it stops there. The Dutch have built a little dam so they can excavate all the kind of peat that was actually in the Somerset levels. It wouldn't just stop at that little dam. It would just come straight over the top of that and flood into the West Country, and it would also take out that nuclear power station without any shadow of a doubt whatsoever. It's built directly in the doorway. And this is what this is all about. This is the process of humanity's, this is the planned process by the agenda which has been ruling over Earth to bring humanity to a lower vibration by making it make decisions that repulses the gods, that absolutely repulse the gods. Imagine legitimately building a nuclear power station on a place where you knew was the most stupid place in Britain to build one. That is where we descend. That is where humanity is descending. Part of humanity is descending. Part of humanity is opening itself to being used by a lower energetic soul group that wants to enter into the earth realm. Okay, so all these lovely people here, by the way, they're all volunteers. They've all come to help just because they like it, love a day on the river. So big thanks to you guys. Big thanks so much. Can't see how many locks we've come up. I think we're on coming into 4 or 5 now. You get this gist down there. Just how many there is. Look at that. You really get the gist of just how many locks I've got to do today. They reckon it's 2 days to Bradford and Avon. See how the boat's nudging forward, so I'm going to have to go backwards. So okay, so we've had a bit of a tragedy that we've lost Dilmartin's footage, and there was so much evidence of the dwarf planets we've been coming past, and of course for myself, and I think for Steve Olsen, and I think for the community at large, we're starting to get our head around. You know, Carlos Ferrada in 1939, on the 20th of January, again, just like the tsunami, on the 20th of January 1606, you know, just like the big sighting, the 21st of January 2017, the same time Dilmartin finally put his channel down, when 2017, sorry, when Dilmartin put that shot up of the dwarf planet, and when I'd said that there was going to be a massive flyby, and sure enough the flyby came on the exact day. Well no, actually I said it would come on the 25th and it came on the 21st, and I was 4 days out, and I've often been, as I've often explored in my videos, this 4-day anomaly, and Dilmartin couldn't handle, I don't think, the fact that people just couldn't believe what they were seeing. Even though the Earth when the flyby came in, and I said it would appear on the 25th, and it came on the 21st. It came with an 8.0 earthquake at the same time, and still in the face of nuclear power stations going bang as a result of being built on fault lines, we can see what's coming in. We can absolutely see that the same thing Carlos Ferrada saw, because they were watching. Don't forget, in Carlos Ferrada's time, it was coming in from the night sky, where we're coming from. We've been transiting under the dwarf planet and then coming back out again. So we've been operating all in daylight hours. He was observing this coming in as we came from the night sky heading towards it. We're coming from it heading towards the night sky. So we're completely on the other end of the spectrum. So we've had the hardest journey, where the only aspects of it we've been able to really see are the twin tail object, which I've been charting, and obviously these massive kind of dwarf planets that whatever these objects are that we've been seeing, that we've been desperately trying to fathom out, calling them every name under the sun, because we haven't been able to call them Jupiter or Saturn or anything else like that, because we couldn't move beyond our own beliefs. And yet there it is, staring us in the face. So okay guys, here we go for the next lock. The doors are open all the way through. So here we go. The guy's gonna lower the locks for us and begin the process as we go down the next down the next lock. I've lost count now completely. I think we're about 4 or 5, something like that. But of course, you know, there's I want to talk to you about the lies You know, there lies like building nuclear power stations. We have to build nuclear power stations on fault lines. Imagine that. Imagine doing that. Imagine building that nuclear power station knowing that you've built it right in a place, the only place where a tsunami can bottleneck in. It's like the nuclear power station built at Fukushima, right next to a massive mantle. Right next to a massive mantle where the oceans come up, hit the massive mantle, a huge, very deep mantle, can only come up in a tidal wave. Tsunami was guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. Fukushima, when it was built, was absolutely guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. As guaranteed as a tsunami that will strike. If not this year, most likely this year, at the end of this year, next year, possibly, but more likely this year, because of, well, you've watched it, you've seen all the different cycles, you saw it last year, you saw it this year. You cannot tell me that we're not going to get a tsunami or a massive tidal area there. You cannot tell me that Somerset is not going to be massively affected when Hinkley Point gets taken out by a tsunami. I mean, it's designed to sit right where it came in, exactly where it came in, just like Fukushima, just like Chernobyl, built above a fault line. And we can throw our beliefs at it. You know, laugh at Davy Dobbs. That's literally what I get from people. That's literally what I get from people. And I get it as well. It is just a stupid name, because why did we call it Nibiru? We couldn't call it Jupiter's moon because we couldn't believe it was Jupiter. Well, maybe it's not Jupiter's moon. Maybe it's Saturn's moon. Maybe it is the moon of this dwarf planet, and it picks it up and it has a kind of like a very elongated kind of like orbit. You know, we don't truly know what it orbits, but the shot that Alex Lujan put up on the 1st of September this year, just gone, that cycle, we could see where we'd seen all the shots of what we think is the dwarf planet and our sun far away in the distance. We have the orbital circumference clearly going the complete opposite direction, and the only thing we've seen there clearly is the massive shot of Jupiter on the 14th of October 2016 that Jeff P caught, where we see the massive plasma charge that Wall Thornhill, the thunderbolt that Wall Thornhill will never, ever, ever talk about, even though it was caught by a webcam. Thousands of people downloaded that footage directly from the webcam server when it came in. You know, that's what kind of like Jeff B was saying, download it. There was once upon a time when we were all just looking at all the webcams and keeping them to ourselves. They were our information. Now all the video makers work it very differently. They all want you to go on yourselves and see for yourselves the footage. You know, look at like Matt Rogers. I think Matt Rogers is going to be making a comeback soon, but look at some of the sensational shots he's always posting up, where they come from, encouraging people to look themselves. Don't just take his word for it. Review. You know, move for your own belief systems on this. What happens when you are on the other side of your own belief system? What happens when you fully engage in your sovereign right to choose something better? And that's where we're at the moment, because just because there's a part of humanity that is descending now to scoop up these souls, and that's how this was explained to me. This is the time when new souls come to the earth, sometimes high, sometimes low. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, because you know, the Dalai Lama said that when they arrived they were raping, pillaging and doing all that sort of stuff. They were of a very low vibration and they came into the human state, and this is their process of ascension and raising their vibration. So we all start from somewhere. We all came in on a low vibration. Okay, so we're ready to go. The gates are open. I'm just going to flick the camera across. Hold on. Blessing you, fine sir. Look at that. Got the guys on the side. Now I've got to get me coming over here. Get me eggs. Whoop. So we're getting slowly but surely getting it together. They can do it in a few more moments, in which we'll have a little peep out the front here. Nearly down the Cane Hill flight. egg and bacon butties on the Cane Hill flight. Oh wow. Going down like a blaze of glory. So now I have definitely lost count. But we are definitely getting to the bottom of the flight. So, you can see the kind of odd dynamic that we're in here. We've got this nuclear power station built at this really stupid place in Britain. So it's a very clear message, and of course Brexit is all about sovereignty. It's about returning to the true sovereign who we want to be governed by, which in our case is, for the Brexiteers, you look at what paid for Nigel Farage's campaign. It was gold sovereigns, Queen's gold sovereigns. That was the biggest share. The kind of, I don't know how they run their whole system. They'll enter into a draw for a gold sovereign. And so Brexit is very much about support of the Queen, being ruled by the Queen. And where do we stand with that? Well, we've just opened the gate. So I can probably turn it that way and just show you that we've got the gates open, but unfortunately I need to look the other way. And unfortunately, that's what this is. That's why the Brexit vote had to exist at this time, to give you the right to choose. Because Brexit's all about choosing the order. You think about the amount of depleted uranium that was dumped on Iraq in the Iraq War. We don't know how much was dumped on Bosnia and all those other places where they've had war. We don't know how much was dumped on Afghanistan. We don't know how much was dumped on Libya. You know, we just know that the British government makes a very big job about dumping depleted uranium on any enemies that won't surrender all of their sovereignty and all of their assets into British or American control. And Brexit is very much about making sure that the people choose that over the European Union, which they blame for all these Iraq wars and everything else like that. They blame Europe for everything, the media. And the way they did that was simply by the media put Tony Blair up as the pro-European candidate, the politician that more people hate than any other politician in the world, because of what the Iraq war, the amount of people that turned up against the Iraq war, and he just still went ahead with it without a care in the world. Just absolutely went full scale with the depleted uranium. They dumped like 40,000 times more radioactive waste than was generated by the Hiroshima bomb on Iraq. No one knows really the figures. There are estimates gathered by various different bodies because of the deformities and kind of radiation pollution as a result of dumping that type of radioactive waste on Muslims and Christians. Christians fled that were being destroyed by all the kind of like the cross killing. The only people that would give them salvation, give them refuge, make them refugees, actually was Assad, Syria. And guess who's in Syria now? Just gone straight back into Syria to make sure that a clear message, that Trump is putting a clear message in. He's going in for the oil, only the oil. You can carve it up, do what you like with it, but the oil's mine. It's just a clear message expressing where humanity is in this story right now. And of course, humanity's not in this place. That they're trying to it's trying to be pushed that humanity really is these dark, nasty people. But most of you actually voted Brexit. Most of you did vote Brexit. It was because you saw Tony Blair at the helm of it saying it's vital for the war on terror you stay in Europe. And you were like, I don't know if I want anything to do with Europe. So it's Europe that's driving all of this. So they sowed the seed, all of the stuff. Remember, the only two pro-European candidates you were given in the lead up to the 23rd of June 2016 when the Brexit vote occurred, you just kept having Tony Blair on the TV all the time. And then you had Obama coming into the kind of House of Commons telling us it's vital you stay in Europe for the war on terror. They're all saying the same things. You see, why is Tony Blair paid so much more, not as a politician, to represent Europe? Because you hate him. It's, you know, one day or other you're going to have to work out that the sheepdog and the shepherd are working together, and that Europe wasn't the bad boy here. Europe didn't do all these nasty things. Europe hasn't really engaged in most of the wars that we've engaged in. You know, you can see what's happened with Greece. Greece has been driven into economic difficulty constantly through this process, so into austerity, so that NATO can have control over it and keep feeding it money on a desperate level, and keep control over it so it can be used as the main, you know, 13 or 11,000 bombing sorties were conducted by the British government from Greece during the, you know, war in Libya. When, you know, Fukushima had gone bang, Britain thought this would, you know, David Cameron thought it would be a great opportunity to drop not aid on Japan, but a lovely smokescreen just to dump bombs on Libya. No one knows what happened to all Libya's gold. That just mysteriously went missing. No one knows where it is. It's not talked about. I wonder where it went. Get any guesses? It's a big old situation that's unfolding here, isn't it? And of course, but ultimately Britain did dump an enormous amount of nuclear waste on all these sovereign countries, and so we do have this massive karmic debt, and we've all agreed that we will all pay. We all agreed when we entered into this plane that we would pay our karmic debt. So I guess that's the reason cosmically why we are not allowed to see the stupidity of building Hinkley Point. Even the environmentalists and the protesters will not look at it from, you know, they blame all the carbon dioxide that's coming out of the spewing out of all these volcanoes and out of these massive earthquakes only on humanity. You know, what's his name? Boris Johnson's just gone and signed another Clean Air Act, which means that we're going to force all these new cars to come into production, which are all going to be dependent on nuclear energy. Each one is probably most likely going to be manufactured as a result of using coal, which is going to massively increase not just the carbon dioxide but the sulfur dioxide. And what we could do is just keep the old ones on the road and pursue a clean energy directive, abundant clean energy. But that's not the game, is it? Trump's clear message is he just wants to go oil. He's just secured at great cost, at the risk of all out World War III, just going in there, the oil's mine, Mr. Big. Very clear message at the moment, isn't it? Very clear message. And we know we've built a nuclear power station in the most stupid place where we can see the absolute mathematics. We saw the point when Carlos Ferrada's prediction of a massive earthquake in Chile on the 20th of January 1939, the year the Second World War begins. You can see they always wage wars when this thing comes by, or when we, should I say, go by this. When we go by the daddy, when we go by what we would otherwise call God. And so the laughers and smirkers are just saying, whatever reason they have to claim that we only need to look at the carbon dioxide, we don't need to look at the spewing radioactive waste coming out of Chernobyl and Fukushima. We only have to see that we've built, I don't know how many more power stations, hundreds. We know it's hundreds more power stations since Chernobyl went off, and then we watched Fukushima coming off, and we know that we've got the big one coming at the end, and we're not even going to address it on any level. People that call themselves environmentalists, and we're just going to watch on. Davy's negative because he sees the nuclear power station built at Hinkley Point, right at the point where the water bottlenecked. The only one of two places in the world we actually get a bore tide, right at the worst possible point, right on the point of the bend. The water's not going to go around the bend, is it, guys? It's the only point that flooded. Where do they build it? On the point that it flooded in 1606. Humanity is being subverted with beliefs. It's refusing to see the elephant in the room. It doesn't want to see the elephant in the room. Now these lovely gentlemen, because there's been no one else on the locks whatsoever, they've decided they're going to help me go through and go all the way down to, I think it's a place called Foxhanger. I don't know why it's called Foxhanger, some strange names. Thank you so much for all your lovely help. Thank you so much.